Yes.
With a man, a granary.
How very un-German of me to build a granary. We don't eat, we fight.
So now it's the movement phase. Matt moves first. So he's still only got speed at 2. When he takes a hut, his movement ends. Even though he's an extra point, it has to end when he takes it. Matt can look at the hut, nobody else knows what it is.
Yeah, that army has to end.
That army has to end, yep. Now Matt's movement is now 3 because he's got horseback riding, so he'll shoot around the table. And what he'll look to do is to take Ben's huts and villages before Ben can get them.
Yes, makes sense.
So, okay, then. That's all of Matt's movements, so now it's you. Right. You have a look at it.
I go before you next, yeah.
Right then, at the moment you don't have anything that can use that, but you can trade those in with people for abilities.
Unfortunately,
Okay.
that's fine, just the plans.
Unfortunately, if your scout and your army were the other way round, that's scout.
Yeah.
You know, that's not.
I know that mine.
He's on the iron, Tom. He's on the iron.
Well, that's only useful if you spend a city management action to harvest it.
I know.
Okay,
He's on the iron, Tom.
Look what I've got.
Right.
I got a golden ticket. No.
I'm going to start a fight.
I've got a golden ticket. I've got that Willy Wonka. I got the
Well,
golden
that's
ticket.
2 more production you'll have next turn as well, which is, obviously helpful.
No, but I'm the wheat. Curses.
You couldn't harvest them both in the same turn anyway, and you have no use for wheat at the moment. You do have the use for iron because of your ability.
Maybe I want to trade sheep for wheat
If I
brick.
keep Catan out of this,
It's not a game. Yeah,
with this piece, the best move would probably be to get the trade from the desert.
Yeah, that's a fair.
Okay, and now it goes on to Ben.
Or Monopoly. Well, no, yeah.
Now you see each of the
You're actually videoing this.
each of the civilizations has something that they're particularly good at. The Germans are very militaristic. He starts with more units. Whenever he upgrades his military technology, he gains a unit for free and a resource. So their whole game is about conquering.
Yes.
Right? The American game is very much an all-round game because of what his trade production skill can do. Ben, have you? Well, none of them. Not many of them are they?
We're just like Hitler would get away with being like.
No, Hitler would not get away with being.
It's weird, because like Stalin usually gets away with in some games, and Stalin is not really any...
But he's Stalin in this game.
Not in this game,
Exactly.
but in general.
No, Stalin should not be in game. Well,
He killed a lot more people.
yeah, he killed a lot more people, but anyway, right, this is not a history lesson. Have you moved, Ben?
Yeah.
Right, now it's the research phase. If you're not researching, because you can't, it's usually polite to not tap the table, just to let people know not to wait for you. So tap the table. And Ben has thumped the table. Now, Matt has a decision here. If he researches a level 1, he actually has room for a level 2, but he hasn't got enough trade. If he spends it this turn, he's not going to have enough next turn.
For level 2.
But this is the different way to play in the game. You could try and get a lot of level 1s to widen up your pyramid while you haven't got much trade anyway.
Yes.
So Matt's the only person who's researching, and his new tech is you usually announce it to the table so everybody knows what you got.
Pottery.
Yeah, which is again a decent all-round tech. Right then, now the first player token passes to you, Alec. It's start of turn. Now, at this point in the game, it is now starting to get possible to build cities, but you can't because that's there. You can't because that's there, and you haven't got a full outskirts. So you can't build a city. You're not going to change government because you haven't got a government. And now, Ben, do you want to build a city or change government?
No.
No, you can't again because he's still on the outskirts of his other city.
Yeah.
Matt?
I can't because I'm next to her.
Okay, so it goes to the trade phase. You count up the trade points that are around your city. Now you have changed now.
4.
No, not 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
Right.
This is your trade will fluctuate quite a lot throughout the game.
Absolutely.
Now, this is the point at which that you might look to say to somebody, does anybody want 2 points?
I'm going to, but I know what you mean, yes.
Well, can I ask why wouldn't you want to do that?
Because I want a level 1 one.
There we go then.
And then on the next turn, my trade will fluctuate probably, well, it'll take me down. How far will this level 1 take me down?
No matter what level tech you have, you go to 0, or how many gold coins you have.
Apparently he wants level 1 tech, he doesn't want a level 2 tech, which means he doesn't want it, so I'm going to give it him anyway. I'm going to use my power of horseback riding, which means I gain 9 trade and you gain 6 trade.
Now, what people often do in that situation is they'll give themselves the 9. You have to give yourself the 9, but they'll say, well, why should I give you the 6? And you say, well, if you give me 6, I'll give you 1 back. So you're actually gaining 10 and I'm gaining 5. But, so you try and outbid the other person, just like Catan. But that's the last time we're mentioning Catan in this game. Because this game and Settlers of Catan should not be compared. Right then.
But the sheep can't.
There are no sheep! Alright then. So, is everybody done with the trade phase?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Right then. Now it's the city management phase, and it's you first, Alec.
Ooh. I have a
Now,
hole.
was that a harbour that you'd built?
Yeah.
You could build another harbour this turn. But because it's a barracks and it's starred, you can only build one barracks.
Yes. Yes. There's nothing I can really harvest. So,
If I could give you some advice, the only two things you can really do are build an army or build one of your units, right?
yeah.
Because now anybody else could, if they were really desperate, say, I want to devote to the arts for one culture, which would be like awful. You actually can't, because the downside of communism is your capital city generates one less culture when it devotes to the arts, because communists aren't very cultural.
We're southern cultured.
Exactly. So personally, if I were you, I would purchase one of the. Actually, no, I wouldn't purchase a unit at the moment. Probably an army figure is your best bet. I know it's a waste of your production.
An army figure is one of those.
That's one of them. And it's placed anywhere in your city outskirts. You can't build any of those.
I can build a harbour.
No, you can't.
Why not?
You haven't got the technology. I've said to you, you don't need to look at the marketplace. Your menu is not in front of you.
Now I remember. It's getting there. It's getting there.
I remember now.
Almost.
I shall purchase a...
Right.
There we go.
Okay, that's your city management then. Ben?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I can build a barracks.
Look at you being all warlike. Who'd have
How unlike the Germans. In this game, not in life. I'm sure there are beautiful people. Right then, Matt.
I will the arts for 1, 2, 3.
Right, so Matt will gain 3 of these little culture things. Now, in the city management phase, you have the option, depending on where you are on the culture tracker, to spend the amount of culture. So he's going to spend the 3 to go a step up the table. Right? And when he does that, he'll draw one of these culture cards. He doesn't have to tell anyone what's on it, and it will usually have an ability, much like these cards that might say, at the start of turn, choose one player. Their government changes to anarchy. That sort of thing. They're very helpful. Very, very helpful. Was I right? Oh, wow. Which sucks for you, because he'll do it to you, because you've got the best government. So, there are also culture cards that let you counteract culture cards.
Unfortunately, you have to do it.
So that was Matt's city management, so now it's with you. So it's your movement phase.
My movement. Right. In that case, I can't get to that no matter what, which is annoying.
Oh, slightly drunken army. So let's have a look.
It was anything I thought, like last night.
No. Now, your other army, I'd probably be tempted to move up to get ready to attack the barbarian village. Right. Now, if you move this guy here or here, he can build a city next turn if you want to. Now, the 2 things that you need to look, there are 3 things you need to really think about when you build a city. Firstly, what's near me? Am I putting my city at his doorstep? Not good. The other things to think about are how much trade will I get and how much production will I get. Yeah. Now, cities pool their trade.
Yeah.
Right? But you can't pool production.
Right.
So each city produces by itself. So here you would have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 from communist. Now that is a very, very high amount of production. Your trade is only 2, but trade is pooled. I mean, I would be tempted, were I you, to move that scout to there so that you could next turn build a city and because it will double your city management phase.
That's right.
It will increase your trade. It's only good to build cities.
Also, it's very difficult for them to get to.
It is. And at this early stage in the game, no one could take a city anyway.
You say that.
And you still can move your scout and your other figure.
I ordered you to level 4.
Where did this come from? Interfering with the cracks of time.
I'll leave them there.
Cool.
Good place to leave them.
Well, the other thing you might want to consider is if you move back to here and you have another turn where you think, just build an army figure, you could always harvest the resource instead.
Demonstrate the
True.
And you're getting the same number of hammers.
This is not true, but I won't be harvesting it next turn.
Okay. Right then, now it's Ben's movement.
Oh, you use such wonderful vocabulary.
Oh yes, I was hoping that we'd have one of these. Right now, with a fight.
Yes, right.
Each player has a hand limit in a fight. Your basic hand limit is 3, and you get 2 more unit cards for every additional army that you fight with. So if Ben had both his armies fighting there, he'd have had 5. Okay? And obviously, more units is just better, right?
Yes.
Now, when you're fighting barbarians, the player to the person's left fights, right?
Okay.
Now, in the combats, the defender has to play first. Playing first is bad, right? Now, Matt chooses one of the 3 units he has in his hand and plays it with the relevant technology facing Ben. Now, the barbarians have the lowest technology of every kind.
Yes.
Spearmen, pikemen, riflemen, modern infantry. Each of these has a numerical value which suggests its strength, right? So, for the spear, at level 1, at the basics, which is what you all have,
Yes.
these range from 1, the weakest, 2, the most common, and 3, the real elite, right? So Matt has played a weak source unit, right? Now Ben chooses a unit from his hand to respond with. Now you can see on here, there's a symbol, and that's the symbol for the mounted units. Each unit has a particular type that it will trump.
Yeah.
So if Ben played its artillery that trumps infantry, so they can shoot them before they reach them,
Cavalry trumps.
and mounted trumps artillery, and infantry trumps mounted because they can't, there's running through a wall of spears. Now, when Ben plays his unit, what will happen is you deal as much damage as your level.
Yes.
And you can take as much damage as your level.
Right.
So here, Ben deals 1 wound to Matt. At the same time, Matt deals 1 wound to Ben.
Right.
They check to see have either of them reached their total hit points, if you will. They both have. They're both killed.
Right.
Right. Now, had Ben played even a level 1 artillery, the advantage of trumping is you do the damage first.
Right. Yes.
Now, if Ben had been a complete moron and played a level 1 mounted, he actually would have just been killed outright before he did anything.
And the infantry would have been there anyway.
Because the infantry don't trump each other, it's just simultaneous.
Cool.
So Matt needs to play into an open field. Now, when Ben plays, he has the option of, instead of playing against this unit, he can do what's called starting a new front, right? Which means he puts the unit adjacent to it. Nothing attacks, and then on Matt's turn, he has the option to either attack Ben's unit or start a new front. Because at the end of the combat, the winner is the person who has the most numerical value at the end.
Right, okay, yeah.
Right? Now, Ben has an additional advantage. Matt, could you pass the bonus card, please?
The 2.
Yeah. Ben has an additional advantage. Because of his barracks, he gets a +2 in the fight.
Yes.
Right? So Ben has this here to remind him.
Oh,
so at the moment, Matt has 2.
Yeah.
Ben has 2
plus
and
2
2.
is 4.
4. So at the moment, Ben would win. Now, if this unit was killed, and it's a draw, defenders win ties.
Yes.
Right? Now, Ben would have been trumped if he played against that, so he had to play in an open field. So, now now Ben actually trumps Matt. So Ben deals his 2 points of damage first, but Matt's unit has 3 strength. So he then deals his 3, which is more than enough to kill Ben's spearman. So at the moment, Matt has 5 strength, Ben has 2.
So, yes.
So Ben's final unit...
3 without dying himself, otherwise he loses.
Ben's final unit is...
Well, I can do that to kill you, can't I?
Yes. His spearman, which strike first, doing 2 wounds, killing it, because they trump it.
No,
he can't fight back.
Yeah.
So Matt has 2, Ben has 4, Ben is the victor. Right? Anything that's killed goes into the discard pile.
Cool.
Right? At this point, when it's against a barbarian village, Ben then looks at the spoils. That's what he gets. Now, the villages are better than the huts. You get much better things.
Yes.
Had Ben lost that, this army would have been destroyed, and he wouldn't have gained the village. Okay, against players it works a little bit differently, but that's the basic thing of combat. So you can see what an advantage it would have been for Ben if he could have had both his armies fighting there. He'd have had 5 cards, and that would have not only would have given him more options with trumping, but it would have just given him more units. And I'm going to stop there.